Meaning of growth. Growth means increase in size, height and weight. It can generally be easily observed, appraised and measured. According to Arnold Gesell, growth is the function of the organism rather than of the environment. The environment furnishes the soil and surroundings for the manifestation of development, but these manifestations come from inherent inner organism in an intrinsic physiology of development. Growth is a process so intricate and so sensitive that there must be powerful stabilizing factors, intrinsic balance of the total pattern and the direction of the growth trend. Meaning of development. Development is a wider concept. In words of Herlock, development is not limited to growing larger. Instead, it consists of a progressive series of changes towards the goal of maturity. Development results in new characteristics and new abilities on the part of the individual. Some more definitions of development are as following. The developing individual cannot be thought of a thing in himself. Development, insofar as it is considered to be produced from within the individual himself alone, is only a convenient abstraction. Marmor development refers to a process of change in growth and capability over time, as function of both maturation and interaction with the development. Anderson, development does not consist merely of adding inches to one's height or improving one's ability. Instead, development is a complex process of integrating many structures and functions. Engyal, development cannot be considered in terms of mind alone but rather in terms of the individual as a whole in relationship with his experience with others. Thus development is considered with the biological total process taking place in the subject-object interrelation. Gesell, development is more than a concept. It can be observed, appraised and to some extent even measured in three major manifestations: A. Anatomic, B. Physiologic, C. Behavioral. Behavior signs, however, constitute a most comprehensive index of developmental status and developmental potentials. Herlock, development means a progressive series of changes that occur in orderly predictable pattern as a result of maturation and experience. Webster's Dictionary, development is the series of changes which an organism undergoes in passing from an embryonic stage to maturity. On the basis of these definitions, following points can further illustrate the meaning of development. 1. Development includes growth. Development is a wider and comprehensive term. It includes growth. Growth is one of the parts of development. Development can be physical as well as intellectual, cognitive or mental, emotional, social and moral. Development in its quantitative aspect is known as growth. 2. Development is continuous. Development is a continuous and lifelong process. It continues throughout life. It starts at the time of conception and ends with the death of the individual. It covers the whole lifespan of the individual. Growth stops when full maturity is attained. 3. It involves changes in physique and behavior. Development refers to changes in various parts of the body and behavior as a whole. 4. It involves quantitative as well as qualitative changes. Development implies quantitative as well as qualitative changes. It implies changes in structure, form or shape as well as improvement in functioning. 5. It is an integrated process. Development is an integrative process. It is a complex process of integrating many structures and functions. According to Herlock, development is an integrated process as it implies I. changes in size, E. changes in proportions, I. disappearance of old features and IV. acquisition of new responses. 6. It is an organizational process. Frank observes that growth may be looked upon as the cellular multiplication and development is an organization of all the parts which grow in differentiations have produced. 7. It is the product of heredity and environment. Development is the joint product of heredity and environment. What the child receives from the heredity and what he shares with his environment can jointly shape his development. 8. It is subject to assessment. Development can be observed and assessed by noting changes. The individual qualitative changes are the subject of assessment and not the subject of measurement because direct measurement of qualitative changes is not possible. Principles of development. Development is based on some specific principles. Major principles of development are as following. 1. Principle of universality. Principle of universality states that development is a universal process and its principles are equally applicable everywhere. 2. Principle of continuity. Development is a continuous process. It starts at the time of and continues till the death of the individual. It does not occur in leap and bounds. 3. Principle of orderly development. Development proceeds in a specific order. The order is from general to specific. The child first learns general things and afterwards, he learns specific or particular things according to her law. In all stages of development, the responses of child are general before becoming specific. 4. Principle of species-specific pattern. Development occurs in a species-specific pattern. As all human beings belong to species Homo sapiens, the pattern is same for all human beings, wherever they are living. 5. Principle of predictability. Development is predictable. As the rate of development for each child tends to be fairly constant, we can safely predict the development of child. 6. Principle of rapid development. During early years, development proceeds more rapidly in the early years of life. Period of infancy is marked by period of very rapid development, and development during this stage is more crucial than later development. Milton expressed the same fact when he wrote, "The childhood shows the man, as morning shows the day." 7. Principle of different rates of development. Development occurs at different rates for different aspects of development during different stages. Thus, rate of development is not uniform. 8. Principle of interrelatedness of aspects of development. Development occurs as a whole. Individuals' physical, intellectual, emotional, social and moral aspects of development are interrelated and interdependent. 9. Principle of constancy of individual differences. Individual differences in development remain constant. Those who develop slowly at birth will continue to do so, while those whose development was rapid during early years of life will continue to develop rapidly. Emphasizing the role of individual differences in development. Locke has presented her viewpoint by saying that two children have no common abilities. 10. Principle of interaction of heredity and environment. Development is caused by both heredity and environment. Both heredity and environment play their roles in determining the developmental profile of a child. 11. Principle of interaction of maturation and learning. Development occurs as a result of both maturation and learning. Maturation refers to changes in an organism due to unfolding and ripening of abilities, traits, potentialities and characteristics present at birth. Learning denotes the changes in behavior due to training or experience. 12. Principle of direction of development. Development follows a specific direction. Cephalocaudal direction. This principle indicates that development proceeds from head to toe direction. According to this principle, the child first gains control of the head, then the arms, then the legs. Infants gain control of head and face movements within the first 2 months after birth. In the next few months, they are able to lift themselves up using their arms. By 6 to 12 months of age, infants start to gain leg control and may be able to crawl, stand, or walk. Proximo-distal direction. This principle indicates that the spinal cord of the individual develops first and then outward development takes place. Thus, development proceeds from center to extremities or peripheries accordingly. The spinal cord develops before other parts of the body. The child's arms develop before the hands, and the hands and feet develop before the fingers and toes. Fingers and toes are the last to develop. 13. Principle of spiral development. The path followed in development by the child is not straight and linear, and development at any stage never takes place in a steady or constant pace. At a particular stage of development, after the child has developed to a certain level, there is likely to be a period of rest for consolidation of the developmental progress. In advancing further, therefore, development turns back and then moves forward again in a spiral pattern. 14. Principle of integration. According to this principle, during developmental process, a child first learns to function through whole body, then also learns to use all the organs, and finally, integrates the use of whole body with its all parts or organs. 15. Each developmental stage has some social expectation. In all societies, some expectations are attached with children according to their age, which are called social expectation. Having first named this concept developmental task. 16. Every area of development has potential hazards. During whole developmental process, some difficulties are associated with all areas of development, which need to be overcome by the individual. Theories of development. Variety of theories.